Welcome to Half Full and a Cup of Joe with Joe Fulford, the show that's always overflowing with optimism and caffeine. Joe's got his game face on and his coffee cup full, ready to dive into the world of football. From the Florida Gators to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and beyond to college and NFL football, Joe's got the analysis, the insights, and the passion to get you pumped up and ready for the game. So sit back, relax, and fill up your cup with Joe. And now from West Des Moines, Iowa, here is Joe Fulford.
Well, thank you all for joining me tonight. It's kind of a tiring evening, had a long day and all, but football is back, and we're ready and raring to go as the NFL kicks off tonight. As the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, they're going to raise the flag here in just a few minutes. And then they're going to get ready to play for real as they would take on the Dallas Cowboys. What better way to kick off the National Football League season? And Cowboys, Eagles should be a great game. Keep you posted on the score and anything else that happens during the course of the game. And national anthem's being done right now. Then they're going to raise the flag here in just a couple of minutes. Glad you could join me tonight. We're going to have a good show for you. In a few minutes, Ron Browne of SEC Sidelines here join me. We'll talk a little bit about the Gators and all things related to football. And then a little bit later on, Loren Meadows, who's out eating dinner right now, but he's going to join me a little bit later on, and we'll talk about the SEC, maybe even a little bit else of football here in just a minute. But I want to touch on something here for just a minute before we get started. Okay, as you know, I just said the NFL is going to kick off this weekend. Okay, and it's going to be great, and we're going to, it's going to be great. Going to have a good time. Going to have the little drinks and what have you, and get ready for a great weekend. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. And in the process, NFL Sunday Ticket will be able to see all the games. And also have Scott Hansen doing his show as well. But here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you guys know this or not. ESPN has now bought NFL Network. So in the process, they get all the rights to the NFL Sunday Ticket and the other show that Scott Hansen calls. I forget what he says. Now, usually Scott will always say in his monologue that there's a classic 7 hours of commercial-free football right now. You can skip out the commercial-free part because now they're going to start playing commercials on his show, and I'm to the point where when does this stop? When does a multi-billion-dollar platform have to think about themselves all the time and not think about, the consumer, the people that are watching it? I mean, the last thing I want to see is Bucky Irving going in for a run. All of a sudden, we got to take a commercial break. Seriously? I mean, that I just get livid when I hear that. Okay, that's my rant. That's my rave. Comment on it in the chat. I'm on Facebook Live, I'm on YouTube, and also I'm on X as well. So if y'all got comments there, you can join me as well. We'll get into all the action a little bit later on. Ron Browne, who hosts the show called SEC Sidelines, he does a great job. He's going to join me here in just a minute, and we'll get his thoughts maybe on that and other things related to college football as well. So, Ron, can you put the pizza down? I'm fixing to put. There you go. Ron Browne of SEC Sidelines. Join me on this edition here of Half Full and a Cup of Joe. Mr. Browne, always a pleasure to have you on a beautiful Thursday night where it is time for the National Football League.
Yeah, they start tonight, but
Yep.
they don't know anything about the get off of my lawn rules. College football, that's Saturday, And, when you get into the playoffs, we're going to have to play some Thursday and Friday games this year because the NFL won't. They think they own the weekend. I think college needs to start fighting back because without the college game developing the players, there is no NFL. And the way I look at it, NFL, college, I'm up before the sun comes up on Saturdays in college football season. NFL games, I'm dozing in and out of sleep if I'm in the house, if I'm not outside riding or doing something. NFL games are just, there's, a guy on our show yesterday, we talked with Les Snead, the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams. And he lives out in Los Angeles, obviously, and he's from Eufaula, Alabama, went to Auburn, was a GA, spent 13 years with the Falcons. He said, NFL, it's great, but college, it's an ecosystem. It's a living, breathing organism when you're on that college campus. And there's just nothing like college football. Pro football is fun, but when they survey every NFL player, they all long for those college games, the college atmosphere, and NIL's here for now. I don't know how much longer it'll be around, but there's just nothing like college football. It's the greatest game ever.
I cannot agree with you more. I mean, it's like, you get so hyped for Saturday, then come Sunday, you're going to cheer for your team, but it's kind of like a little letdown because I don't know why. It's just, college football has taken things over. Okay. And, speaking of which, let's get into it because Saturday there was some, or over the weekend, there were some very interesting games highlighted by one of the teams in your state, but not the ones that throw teepees in the trees.
Yeah. Well, college football, people keep trying to push this narrative that the game's ruined. NIL's ruined it. The portal's ruined it. That's 180 degrees opposite. Look at the numbers. You had 2 or 3 games, college football opening weekend. It's not like we have 2 games on the weekend for the whole country to watch. You had ginormous numbers. You have every game on TV. And there were 2 games last weekend with over 10 million views. I think look at Georgia Tech and Colorado got close to 4 million.
Wow.
And so people go back and look at all the bowl games. The average for the bowl games outside of the CFP last year was 2.75 million views per game. So you know what? If you want to say college football is ruined, it's a free country. I ardently and reverently respect the First Amendment, the right to free speech, but doesn't mean that you're automatically right. And college football, look at this show here. You're like me. We love college football, and it never seems like work talking about college football any time of the year.
I know. I totally agree with you on that. I think half of those viewers were probably on X calling for the head of Kalen DeBoer after that massive destruction that they incurred in Tallahassee. Because I really never expected that, Ronnie. I mean, I thought to myself, Alabama was going to come in and play a modest, half-decent game. This just in. Florida State kicked them tails all the way back to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Well, Alabama, anyone, you always want to be the guy that replaces the guy that replaced
you. Exactly.
But what do? You're going to turn it down when Alabama comes offering what they offered? Nobody would turn it down. The problem with Kalen DeBoer, we don't know this, but when he looks in the mirror, is Brian Harsin staring back at him? Arguably the worst hire in Auburn history of any coach. Not that he's not a good coach. He's not a good fit. Never understood the Southern culture and didn't believe in recruiting and thought he could outdevelop Nick Saban and Kirby Smart. And I don't think that's that way with Kalen DeBoer, but I also think, last year before the season started, all you heard was the smiles, and everybody's having fun around the football complex at Alabama. They got an ice cream truck that comes after practice. This guy, Roll Tide Willie, probably the first person in his family to walk upright. He goes out there all liquored up and goes, "I don't give a damn about nothing but the Tide." And that's all he says. He addressed the team. Do you honestly think Nick Saban would have let that guy on the practice field to talk to his team? And so he did that and just, it's more fun. And I said, you know what? It's all spits and giggles until you lose a game.
Yeah.
I know the Alabama fan base really well. They're going to say, if we weren't screwing around with Roll Tide Willie and ice cream trucks and music blaring and everybody's, cutting up and having fun, we'd be winning. Well, that's the problem. They're not disciplined, and they were lazy and feckless, and a lack of effort, lack of motivation on your transcript in the corporate world or in the military is the end of the road for you, man. I'm telling you, we talked yesterday with Les Snead, general manager of the Los Angeles Rams, about what are you seeing among the kids coming out of college to the NFL now. He goes, we're starting to see some things. The NFL is going to fix NIL and the portal. I promise you, because of the kickback. Don't you agree, Joe?
Yeah, I think to some point, I think you're right on that. I mean, with the money with the NIL, the way it's set up, you usually would see these kids want to transfer like junior to sophomore to junior, say, you know what, maybe I'm better off making money now in the NFL. Now it's not the case, because they realize now they can still make money in college and be financially secure in that area. So yeah, in a lot of ways, the NIL has helped out a lot. It's made people think a lot about, well, do I want to go now? Do I want to go later? I mean, those aspects of the NIL are now starting to come into play. Back to Alabama. You heard, I mean, after that shellacking that they endured, I mean, the airwaves, X, Facebook, I mean, everybody was just on the case of Kalen DeBoer about his discipline, the way he does not discipline his team enough, that you alluded to a moment ago. And, I know that Kalen DeBoer, I think, wants to create a less pressure atmosphere, but the argument against that is you're not disciplined enough, and we're seeing that on the field with them, and we saw it Saturday, and now you gotta wonder what holds on, what's on the line for Kalen DeBoer. How much is his buyout already? Just the first game into his second year. I mean, I don't know if that's good or not, to be quite honest with you.
His buyout is $69.7 million.
80. Isn't it 80?
No, it's just under 70, because that's
okay.
But they're not including, this year's salary. That would make it 80. You're right. Okay. So, on our show this morning, we had Gary Harris from Tuscaloosa. Rodney Orr was on Tuesday from Tider Insider. They do a program called Tider Insider TV. Rodney Orr, Tider Insider, said on SEC Sidelines Tuesday morning, I think he said it's about the worst effort he's ever seen from an Alabama football team. But here's some numbers. I'm going to throw them out at you. Kalen DeBoer's 9-5. And the guy, in my opinion, that blew up the football building last year at Alabama, Jalen Milroe. Okay?
Yeah.
In his T-shirts, LANK, let all naysayers know. Hey, man, I know he did help his teammates out with NIL. He helped a lot of people out.
Yes, he did.
And I know about that, and that's good. But dadgummit, you're supposed to be the leader. And he threw a pout fit after the Texas loss in 2023, and he was benched. I know that, I'm telling you, he was benched for that South Florida.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Ty Simpson had to come in. Ty's father's a coach at UT Martin, has been for 20 years. He's got a younger brother at Martin Westview in Tennessee. It's a big-time quarterback. Ty was fighting his ass off Saturday, but he didn't have support. But here's some numbers. in 14 games, Kalen DeBoer has they've lost to 4 unranked teams in his first 14 in 17 years at Alabama. Well, 3 of those occurred in the first year when they lost to unranked teams. In the next 16 years, Nick Saban's Alabama teams only lost once to an unranked team. That was the worst first game output rushing the football, 87 yards for Alabama, since 1975. They have a lot of talent, but a lot of those guys, I think, were born on home plate and think they hit a grand slam. They haven't done a damn thing. They haven't done a damn thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Talent, Kirby Smart, he is, if you love Nick Saban, you love Kirby Smart. Whatever you think about him, because he's the guy that demands a full 60 minutes from his team for every game. And I've always been told by my parents, I tell this to my kids, if you expect the team to play a full 60, you got to stay the full 60. I've never left a game early. I don't care what the score is.
Me neither. Well,
and I just think it's you've got a very keen mind, a very sharp mind, Joe. Just because you're juggling NFL, Tampa Bay, and the Gators and college football, but and I heard you talking about NFL commercials and all that. I'll just say this: they're not going to fire Kalen DeBoer unless he loses to Louisiana Monroe Saturday. I mean, but the trend, just but remember how bad it was early on for Billy Napier.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, but look what's happening now. I think Kalen DeBoer, it's different in the South. It's different.
Yeah. Well,
it's different.
I think it's different. I think it's different in Alabama because that's a school that expects to win right away, year in and year out. I mean, they don't like to hear the word rebuilding or reloading. They just they don't believe it. It's just
what word is that?
Yeah, I know. What is that?
Yeah.
Billy Napier, and it's a nice segue, and it's a great segue because when we talk about Florida in just a second. But look at what Billy Napier's done. Well, like you said, when he first came on, people didn't like him. They didn't think that he was going to be successful. And I told everybody this from the very beginning. It's about patience, people. It's about patience and giving this man an opportunity to prove himself. And year by year, we've seen it happen. We're seeing a strong recruiting class come into play. We saw a terrific performance against the Gators. Okay, granted, it was against a lesser-known team that we probably had never heard of. But for Billy Napier, he's starting to build the culture. They're starting to buy into what he's selling. For Alabama, Kalen DeBoer and his situation, they're not buying it yet, and he's not able to sell it because they don't want to hear it.
Look at the personality of Billy Napier. Compare that to Kalen DeBoer. Billy's father coached up to near his death from a wheelchair. I believe he died of ALS.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 2 brothers in coaching. He was mentored by Dabo Swinney at Clemson, Nick Saban at Alabama. He won 41 games at Louisiana in 4 years. 41. That's hard to do. I imagine their NIL money was about like what your local Girl Scout troop collects from the sale of Girl Scout cookies. Okay.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money.
But I mean, Billy Napier, last year we did a lot of pop-up shows early on our SEC Sideline Sports Network channel about Florida after the Miami game, after the Texas A&M game. It just, there's a saying in the stock market. it's always darkest before dawn.
That's right.
You know, bull markets are built on pessimism and they die on euphoria and stupidity. Nothing will destroy a football program culture more quickly than bringing in kids, and there's a sense of entitlement. And that's what you got. And if you're not,
that's what you have in Alabama, sense of entitlement.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if but the biggest lie going around now is because every kid I talked to at SEC Media Days from all 16 schools, I asked a kid from every school, I got the same answer. I said, there's a narrative out there that y'all don't want to be coached hard. You can't coach kids like they coached your dad or your grandfather or whatever. Do you believe that? And they said, no, sir. I said, so you want to be coached hard. You want that bar to be raised. You want to be pushed and get out of your comfort zone. You want to enjoy your time in hell. And they're going, yes, sir. That's kids at 16 SEC schools. They want that. I talked to Gunnar Stockton of Georgia. Gunnar Stockton. Somebody fight breaks out 2 a.m. at Monk's Bar and Grill. You know, who do you want on your side? Some beta or an alpha? I think there's a lie that's being pushed that these kids don't want to be pushed hard. They want to be pushed hard. They want to be pushed to the absolute max, Joe. And
I know.
And the mistake that's being made is all these people parroting and just repeating lies and inaccuracies. I mean, I have 2 boys and 2 girls. I mean, and they're 25 to 36, and they're like, man, I used to think you were crazy or, you know, insane, but you're right. You cannot survive if you don't have tough, hard-nosed discipline. And Kalen DeBoer, in my opinion, is trying to be friends with these guys. You can't do that. And look, toward the end of Nick Saban's, you know, time at Alabama, things weren't perfect. You know that.
No.
And look, he had a standard, but entitlement and decadence will destroy a football program overnight. And I think one thing I've seen about Florida, I really like Billy Napier. When you're around him, he's not going to be lighting up the room. But when he talks, he's very measured in that old Southern drawl. And you're hanging on to every word he says at the end of a sentence, and you listen to what he says. Less is more.
I think you said it. I think you said it perfectly about what he does, and I mean, look what he's doing now with this group of guys. Lagway, for example. Okay, he wasn't going to just get the job to him just because he's an all-star freshman.
Yeah,
he wanted him to work. He wants people to earn it, and because of him doing that, the players are getting his respect, and we're seeing it on the field by what happened the other night. Now, I got to tell you something. The Long Island game, and for those, by the way, you're watching the Half Full Cup of Joe. He's Ron Browne of SEC Sidelines. Yours truly, the Animal. Loren Meadows will join us a little bit later on. We can get him away from the pizza buffet, but one of the things that we need to let the people know about Long Island, and the reason why the Gators play them, they were supposed to play Bethune-Cookman, but because of some conference mumbo-jumbo, Bethune-Cookman had to back out of that game, so Florida had to get a last-minute opponent. Let's keep that in mind. 55-0 was the final score. The Gator defense played very well. Lagway did a heck of a job. But how about Burnell Brown 3 and that one-handed catch on the sidelines in the second quarter? I don't know if you saw that, but that was shades of Ricky Pearsall.
Well, in Odell Beckham Jr., we've seen that catch he made.
Yes, Odell Beckham Jr., yes.
And it's just a sign of the times in college football. The prima donna in college football is the wide receiver. And that is just when you look around and you see catches like that. You saw one by C.J. Daniels, I think, receiver for Notre Dame, made a catch like that Monday night against Miami. The athleticism, it's just going to keep getting better. But
oh yeah,
I tell you, the one thing about Florida, they gave up the offensive line led by Jake Slaughter, and it's a really good one. They gave up, there were 11 tackles for loss by Long Island. Now,
yeah,
you say, well, it doesn't matter. No, you better be focused regardless of who you're playing.
that's right.
They better fix that. I mean, because you know what? How you practice is how you play, and how you play in the games one week has everything to say about how you play the next week. That's why you never, ever want to see kids given a lack of effort at the end of it. I don't care if you're down 50-0. You better be hauling and running and diving and fighting and scratching and clawing, because it carries over to practice. And the next week, it just sets you up for the future.
Well, and I understand that. I think you're totally right about that. But let's also keep in mind too that you don't want your starters in there getting injured and being out for a period of time. Thank goodness for the Florida Gators, they did not suffer a lot of injuries. Caleb Banks may be back for this weekend's game against South Florida, who, by the way, they defeated a ranked team at Boise State last week. So the talent level that Florida is going to be facing this week is going to be up a notch. But South Florida is no cheap team to just ignore. I mean, Ronnie, this is a true team that could give Florida some problems.
Well, I would say this: South Florida, Alex Golish, since he left Josh Heupel in Tennessee, their offense has been good, not great. He's got some players at South Florida, but they destroyed a team that made the playoffs last year and was the favorite to return this year for the group of 5 schools. I think they've got Florida's attention, and I think Florida will beat them something like 42-17 or worse. Florida, see, that's the good thing. Billy Napier's got a lot to coach. Hey, man, we gave up 11 tackles for loss. I don't care if it was first, second, or third team. That you always want things to chew on in practice.
Yeah.
Number 2, they're going to be ready for the Bulls. That's an in-state, and there's all these kids. They know each other. They've been going to these camps all over the state, all over the South, hell, all over the country. That game in the Swamp will be
electric.
I think Florida's going to come out with their hair on fire.
Oh, I do too, and I think the competition's going to be a lot tougher. Yeah. But I still think that Florida's going to come out and win and send a clear message that they're ready to take on their next opponent and the LSU Fighting Tigers on a Saturday night in Baton Rouge. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But I was very impressed with the way the defense played. I was very impressed with the offensive line, minus those 11, the stat you gave a moment ago. But I think that the more you watched them Saturday, the more they looked like that they were on a mission, taking one play at a time, one series at a time. And as we get into South Florida, that's going to continue. I think that is the message. Spot the ball, take it one game at a time. Now.
Yeah,
along those lines, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, the season's a 12-chapter book. We all know when we were in school, if you read chapter 1, chapter 2, skip to chapter 5, then chapter 9, you're going to take a quiz or have a test after you read that book. You're going to fail it because you didn't pay attention to everything in between. And enjoy the college football season. You only got 12 regular season games. Everybody's always looking out 3, 4, 5 games ahead. You know what? LSU is going to be here September 13th. They're not changing the game. And I still shake my head. I guess it was money. Why Jack Pyburn left Florida. Florida sacked LSU's quarterback Garrett Nussmeier 6 or 7 times last year in November. And why would he leave? Why would he leave that and go money? I'm sure it was money, but Tyreek Sapp, Caleb Banks, probably they wanted to rest him, but you know what?
Yeah.
If you can get 35 or 40 snaps at maximum effort from those guys, and the guys back, hey, you know your defense is good when LJ McCray is a backup.
Yes. And I'm trying to figure out something out here about Jack Pyburn because I saw him play the other day, but I forget what school he transferred to.
LSU.
And was it LSU? Yeah, he transferred to LSU.
He went to LSU.
Whoa.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, why?
No, I mean, why would you go to your opponent's school? I mean, that really doesn't make any sense.
I have a feeling, Joe, it was this. Joe, it was this.
Oh, yeah. You can send that to me, by the way, anytime. For people that are watching me and not watching the Dallas Cowboy Eagle game, within 5 seconds, Jalen Carter, the nose tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles, he just got ejected. I don't know what it was for, but he just got ejected. So that's going to be interesting as this game plays on. So, but that's interesting. But yeah, Jack Pyburn with LSU. I was very impressed with the way LSU played. But I was also looking at them like, oh my God, is this team going to be ready for LSU? Comes when they play them. I mean, I'm kind of worried about that.
You know, worrying is the equivalent of praying for something you don't want to happen. Worry's a waste of time. All you can do is get better as a team. And every week's different because you're dealing with 18 to, I used to say 22-year-olds, but in the day and age of the portal and all the virus stuff, 18 to 28-year-olds or older. I mean, it's just what we're dealing with, but it's such the psychology, the mental part of it is everything. And I think that with LSU, I thought Clemson would win. I thought it'd be a close game, like less than a touchdown. Also thought Texas could win at Ohio State because I said defense travels. Joe, if we'd have made a bet, a sack full of White Castles or Crystals and a 30 rack of Ham's beer, and that bet would have been Texas goes on the road to Ohio State, the national champions, and only gives up 14 points. You would have said, okay, yeah, Texas wins. But their offense twice was stopped on the goal line.
Wow.
But
I could not.
Yeah.
I know. I'm watching the Ohio State game and seeing how they just basically dismantled Arch Manning and company. And I'm saying to myself, is this just a one-time deal, or is this really a very bad Texas team?
I'll say this, being in the commission sales business, every month on the first day of the month, you have a 0.00 by your name, unless you had some residuals coming over from the previous month. I don't think Texas is. I think their defense. Look, what Jeremiah Smith had one catch in the game?
Was it one catch? Yeah, he didn't.
Maybe,
he didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Think about Ryan Williams, as good a receiver as he is at Alabama. He had 5 catches against Florida State for 32 yards, 6.4 yards a catch. Look, Texas's defense is outstanding, but people didn't pay attention. They get caught up in the groupthink narrative. Texas's offensive line replaced a lot of guys. There's a lot of people. The first game of the season is like living in the median on Interstate 95. You got to pull out of your driveway doing about 110, or you're going to get just flattened. And that's people don't think about. They didn't have to play Ohio State in the first game, but you know what? They've now lost. This is crazy. 2 in a row to Ohio State. And that's just, look, Texas will be a good team this year, but I picked Georgia and Alabama, and I picked Georgia to win the league because Kirby's teams are just flat out mentally and physically tougher than the rest of the SEC. And you can't really argue that. They thought it was a down year last year at Georgia. They still went 11-2 and won the SEC and beat Texas twice. Look, if your kids are not battle tested in practice and in mat drills in the offseason, don't expect them to come out in game one and look any good. All we heard about Alabama was they've practiced really hard and all this stuff. It's the group think. Nobody gets to go to practice, and the few people that do were scared to tell what they saw because they'll be blackballed and never be able to go back to practice.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, I know. Yeah. Well, speaking of physically and maybe sometimes mentally fit, where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd my boy go? What are you doing to me? Hang on a second here. He was okay. Okay. Well, we had Loren, but he finally showed up, but I guess the mental part of it had to knock him out there for just a minute.
We'll get him back. We'll get him back.
Look at him. Well, we'll get him back. What was the one? If you had to have one game, looking back on the weekend, what was the one game that surprised you? That said to yourself, "Wow, this was shocking."
The relative ease with which Tennessee got rid of Syracuse and beat them. Joey Aguilar coming in after 2 years of underwhelming the talent around him at App State, going to LSU for a semester and not playing there, and then coming to Tennessee and having to, earn the respect in the football building of the Tennessee football team. He looked great. He really, but Josh Heupel's an elite offensive coach and quarterback coach. This guy threw all the right passes. There's always Joe Milton, remember out of Pahokee, the Muck. He could throw the deep ball. Where's the short and intermediate pass? It's like golf. You can drive it 350 yards down the fairway, but your putting game sucks.
Right? Yeah,
it's quarterbacks. That's what it is. I thought that, and I thought Auburn. Hugh Freeze, for the first time, did not find ways to lose and didn't look like the defeated man, and was absolutely ecstatic in the locker room after Auburn got a good road win at Baylor. And if Baylor punched back to Auburn, Auburn punched right back with a touchdown. They got to clean up the secondary. There's things they got to do. Everybody's got to do things. Everybody's got a lot of work. It's the first game. But yeah, I think that, and then Florida, they were playing an outmanned opponent, but South Florida is a great test. And
I think it's going to be a great test. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think Billy I don't think Billy is showing any disrespect. In fact, I think that for the first time in a while, they're actually ready for this fight when they take on South Florida Saturday night in the Swamp. And it's going to be, and hopefully they'll be mentally and physically ready to go. Yeah. Ron, speaking of people, good Lord. Okay. Okay. Well, you were back. I think Lauren had some computer issues, so we'll get with that back in just a minute. My biggest takeaway, my biggest game that I took away from with the big wow was LSU. I mean, they just played with a lot of passion. They were tough. And as we bring Loren Meadows into the conversation, Lauren, I look at the LSU game and I say to myself, is Florida going to be ready for them after they take on South Florida? Because, damn, they look good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
They better take care of South Florida first.
Right. That's right.
I think a lot of people are looking at this South Florida game. And I spoke with somebody pretty close to the program yesterday, and he kind of made it like a no-doubter that it was going to be about a 41-17 game. But I'm going to tell you, man, the team I saw a week ago at Raymond James Stadium is not a team that is going to lose the fly. I would bet the cover. So, I mean, when you look at LSU and what they were able to do at Clemson. I mean, each game is different. And the one thing that the Florida Gators will have going into the LSU game, should they not go out and lay an egg against South Florida, is the fact that they won last year. And I think that that's a key part of the thought process, is the fact that this is going to be a team that had success against LSU last year. They were able to handle both lines of scrimmage. They ran the ball extremely well last year. And I think that's one of the things they'll try and do again. But make no mistake, I mean, Saturday could be, I mean, remember the last time Florida played a much lower South Florida team, not as talented, and things got hot in that fourth quarter. You know, now obviously Florida gave them some turnovers down on the goal line and different things like that, but that could happen again. This is a team that Florida needs to worry about the trip to Baton Rouge at about 9:30 on Saturday night. At 4:15, they need to be thinking about the South Florida Bulls. I mean, they were picked anywhere between 3rd to 4th in the American. It's a team that if you give them something and the quarterback can be a difference maker, I mean, it could be an interesting game. But, you know, I think if Florida can get through this game fairly healthy, then it sets up one of the top early matchups of the season with LSU. I mean, you know, probably the first premier matchup in conference play. And, you know, and then it starts to stretch for Florida that, like I keep saying, as my nephew calls it, the Avengers. I mean, because you got LSU, you got Miami, you got Texas, then you got to go to College Station and play Texas A&M. So, I mean, it never gets better. But the one thing is iron sharpens iron. And I think that South Florida is a nice tune-up to get your mind right, get you a little mean, and get ready to go play LSU. So, yeah, they got everything they need. You know, obviously, the DJ Lagway is as much of a difference maker as Nussmeier. And, you know, the receivers should be at full strength that we heard about all spring. I think if Dallas Wilson isn't back this week, I think they plan to get him back for LSU. So, you know, you'll have some weapons to throw at LSU, but they got to take care of business Saturday night for sure.
You're muted, Joe.
Sorry about that. Okay, thank you. So thanks, Ronnie. For those that are watching, and you'd like to post some questions in the chat room, go ahead, and we'll be more than happy to answer those here tonight. I saw something about Caleb. Loren, I saw something about Caleb Banks. What's the latest on him?
He should be back. He should be back. I think it's, you know, a little hitch in the chassis. You know, I think they look to get both. You know, hopefully, I think LJ McCray could be somebody that we haven't talked about, but he could be back as well. I think they're looking to get Pup Howard back, if not this week, but next week. But it sounds like Caleb Banks will definitely be dressed and ready to go Saturday night. I think it was just kind of a precaution, you know, I mean, they were going to beat LIU with or without Caleb Banks. Yeah. Just let him, you know, go ahead and get himself right and then get the tune up for this weekend. So, you know, we don't get an injury report, so you really don't get much until the media guys in the press box start seeing who's dressed, who's not, getting the binoculars out. But next week we will officially get at least, you know, the equivalence of what is now the SEC injury report. So they got to start putting one out next week. But for the first 2 weeks, you don't have to put one out. So, you know,
I want to throw this out there.
List the depth chart as Bill Belichick found out. You know.
Yeah, well, I want to throw this out there for just a minute, and he just Ron, he just mentioned some names a moment ago. Pup Howard, TJ, I believe that's what you said. A couple of other guys here. He is talking about a lot of guys here who are, I believe, on the second team, right? If I'm not mistaken. And the point I'm making here is that these are guys that could be playing on the first team. They're playing second team. And now, for the first time, I think you're talking about a well-developed 2 deep, maybe 3 team deep team something that Billy Napier hasn't had for a very long time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's his second starter. That's what I kind of call him. I mean, a guy like LJ McCray is definitely not a second team guy.
LJ, yes.
Yeah. Pup Howard, is probably they're guys that, they roll that rotation of Jaden Robinson, Aaron Childs, Miles Graham, Pup Howard. So yeah, but I mean, it just speaks to, like I said, you got a bunch of second starters. You got a bunch of first and second starters where you rotate and you don't miss a beat. I mean, let's face it, this is, and Rob's talked about it on his show, this is the best roster that Billy Napier has had in his 4 years as coach of Florida. It ain't even close. The problem is, like I was listening to my man Chris Doring and Peter Burns earlier, it's a roster that is a playoff football team. Unfortunately, the schedule does not necessarily, I mean, they could be a really good football team and be 8-4, a really good football team.
Yeah. And
if they had Missouri's schedule, I think you could really point to Florida with the way they're equipped with, they would be, and I agree with Doring, that's, they would be a playoff team with Missouri's schedule. Unfortunately, they got Florida's schedule, and it is not. I mean, there are some. I mean, everybody talked about Arch Manning, and I don't know if I was out of pocket a little bit all week, Rob. I'm sure you addressed it on your show a little bit, but we talked about it. Going to Ohio State, I call it's a wood chipper. You're going into a wood chipper. You go into College Station. You're going into a wood chipper. LSU at night is a wood chipper. It'll make many talented a man lose their mind, and it's the great equalizer. So, Arch Manning, guys like Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, great quarterbacks, generational talents even. But some of these wood chippers that you got to go to, Georgia on a neutral field, wood chipper. Miami, the way they're playing. Because let's face it, I mean, a lot of people there Sunday night. So the days where people casually went to the game, I don't know if the Dolphins are in town, but if the Dolphins aren't in town and Florida rolls in 3-0, happens to get LSU, I mean, that'll be the biggest Miami-Florida matchup in 25 years, damn near. I mean, so, you're talking about going into some places and just, so they got the goods. It's just, I mean, you saw the win total. I think went from 7.5 in Vegas. They dropped it to 6.5. So, just based on the strength of USF and all those, it's just what is up in front of this team. And like I said, this time, in November, we could be like, hey, the Gators are on the way to playoffs. They just got to take care of Tennessee and Florida State, and they're in. But it's a long way to go, man. And like you said, it's his best roster for sure. They got everything they need, but that's why you play the game.
Go ahead, Ron. You want to say something? Go ahead.
No, look, Lauren's right. And Florida's roster is 9th most talented in the country. You look at Auburn, they went from 16th to 11th. See, the SEC's been out of balance. You've had Florida and Auburn for the last 4 years in the ditch with 4-ball tires. I mean, and now they've got a full tank of gas. They got 4-wheel drive, and they got Lauren and me driving them. I mean, they're in great shape. But I think when you talk about Florida, it's if you're a coach, your dream scenario is my 2s and 3s are working hard. I know it every day, but I want my number 1s to be playing as hard in practice and in the games as my 2s and 3s. If you've got that kind of stuff happening on your team, everybody pulling for each other, then you know what? You'll do really well. I mean, Ben Troop talks about it so much. The scout team guys, he bonded with them. He was 17 when he got to Florida. He wasn't even old enough to vote. 17. Think about that. And now I think something I catch things that people say and I latch on to them. A year ago, July in Dallas, Clark Lee, Vanderbilt's coach, said, I'm going to say this, and take note of it because it matters. He goes, there are 136 football players in the football complex here at Vanderbilt. Every one of them has been signed by our staff, and they believe in our vision of what we want Vanderbilt football to become.
That's right.
And look, Loren and I love being on his show on Tuesdays. He doesn't hold back. Does this dress?
No, he doesn't. I love Loren. I love Loren.
Does this dress make me look fat? Yes, it does. I wouldn't wear it. It's just pie in the face. But look, last year, Brendan and Buddy and friends, Loren, me, we were, I mean, talking just, doing these shows, Billy and Florida. It didn't look good. But I had picked Florida last year to go win 8 games, and they did. They had to get a bowl game to do it. I think what I see with Florida, looking at it as covering all the SEC, it's like I have 16 kids. I don't have favorites. I'm an Auburn grad, but I'm harder on Auburn than I am any school. I am super critical of Auburn because I want more, but I'm the same way with every fan base. I'm married to a Tennessee fan. Oldest daughter's an Alabama grad. My other 3 kids, all Auburn. It's just life in the South. But I think what's going on with Billy is he said this in his press conference a few weeks ago. He goes, and I'm going to talk real slow in my best Billy Napier. He goes, there are a lot of guys in this football program that have been here 2 and 3 and 4 years. And as they say in the South, that's not nothing. That's a big deal. And I just think that the Florida brand, again, looking at it as an outsider, following Florida since I was old enough to follow football, because that was an Auburn, Florida was a man test every year.
No doubt.
And I'll say this, I wish that could become. Did they ever finalize who your 3 permanents are going to be yet?
No,
not yet.
Sometime in October, it's supposed to be.
So like, it's going to be Auburn, Alabama, and Auburn, Georgia. Everybody that I talk to wants Auburn, Florida. And you want your name in a state of 23 million people with the greatest track and field programs. And I applaud Loren. He works his ass off to promote Mouse Holloway, 14 national. I love track and field. It's your insurance policy for every sport that you play. But I'm not saying Florida's going to win every game. I got them to win 10. I think they split the Texas schools, and I think they lose to Ole Miss in Oxford. Loren, I'm going to meet you down there for that one. That's a fun place to go to a game. But they may not lose. If they're winning, like I said, everything you do this week, how you go off the field says everything about how you approach that Sunday morning meeting, how you approach everything. Love him or hate him, but I know the guy that coached Emmitt Smith in high school, Max Howell, at Escambia County. I know the guy that coached Dion at Florida State, Max Howell. He watches my show every morning and critiques me after the show. He found me on Facebook this summer. I love it. And, man, he doesn't hold back. He's grading me. And I said, what's Dion like? He said, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. You say people have all these narratives. He goes, he was the first guy at every team meeting. He sat on the front row. He took notes. He asked questions. And he said he'd put on the bling and go back and, talk to kids. He'd go in the hood, do whatever. And he'd say, I got this from sports. I earned it. You don't have to do bad things to have this kind of lifestyle. And he said he was raised by a single mom. I don't know Dion, but I know some people that have coached and worked for him. You can say whatever you want about the guy. And I've learned some things. It's interesting. They said he's fair. He's always pays you on time, and he'll talk to you about anything. And I know, I've got kids, he was favoring his sons. I don't know. But how much fun would it be if you got to coach your kids in college?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
who the hell wouldn't want to do that? But I'm just saying, there's a lot of great stories in college football. And Loren, we talked about that Ohio shit. I'm sorry. That's the fifth most talent-rich state in America.
Yeah.
I've just always followed Ohio State. I grew up on the 10-year war. Okay?
Bob. It's Florida, Texas, and Ohio. Those are the 3 schools that you try to recruit. Those are the 3 top schools you want to create. We were talking about this earlier, Loren. Biggest surprise from the week. What game surprised you the most, or took a look at it and said, "Whoa"?
Florida State, Alabama. I mean, I think that's the way that they physically and just were able to make. I mean, Alabama couldn't do anything. I mean, and the way that they were just able to scheme them up and make things happen. I mean, it just, Gus Malzahn was drawing them up, and they out. Not only did they beat up Alabama, but they out coached them. I mean, and Rob's heard me say this: you win games Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
You are preparing those. And they just beat them. I mean, they beat them up and sent a message. Big score for the ACC. I mean, you get a juggernaut like that, and they could have played that game in Tuscaloosa. They could have played it in Tallahassee. They could have played it in Toledo, Ohio. They could have played it in Atlanta in the Georgia Dome. From what I saw, I mean, Florida State, I mean, they put it on them. Now, people are like, well, Florida State, and then, does that mean anything about, what'll happen? I mean, that game is so far away. There's so much football to be played.
Oh, my gosh. I know.
In FSU lineup, but here's the thing about it. Wouldn't it be great to have a year where Florida, Miami means something? FSU, Miami means something. Florida State means something. I mean, if you get a year like that, I mean, why not, man? We're in this thing. I mean, I just wish we would go to 16 teams this year.
Yeah.
So we might get to see them all do it again. I mean, because
I think
the biggest surprise though. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that for the first time, I think all three of these schools are going to have something throughout the course of the year. I think they're going to have something to say about what happens during the course of the season. We're going to find that out. Of course, we got Florida and Miami this week. I forget who Florida State plays. Auburn. Who does Auburn play this week?
Ball State from Muncie, Indiana, the Cardinals. Dave Letterman's alma mater.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And former Letterman and Bonzi Wells.
There you go. And the former voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Mark Champion, but you probably don't know who that is.
There you go. Okay.
But used to be voice of the Detroit Lions. See, I know a thing or two here, Ronnie. So
is Nick Hubert a Ball State grad too? I gotta look that up. I think
I don't know. You're gonna have to look that up. You're gonna have to let us know about that.
Right.
Listen, Doug, I just thought about this. Nussmeier, the quarterback. Is his dad Doug Nussmeier, who used to coach the Florida Gators?
Yeah.
Where's he at now?
Going on the road to watch his son play.
Yeah, chilling, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so he's not coaching. Okay.
Not right now. I think he'll probably get back into it when Garrett finishes college.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. All right. Tell us about what's going on with your respective, before we get out of here. Tell us what's going on with your respective shows, Rob. What's going on with Sidelines Live?
I missed Lauren. I'm sorry. Tuesday we were driving back from Atlanta for my daughters. There was a wreck on I-20 between Atlanta and Birmingham. They were cutting trees, and a truck tumped over, and it just shut us down. And I apologize. I do not. I love being on your show. All right, tomorrow morning.
Me too.
We got look, and I'm gonna tell you what. You'll get on there, and I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be doing a college football roundtable tomorrow morning. Mike Griffith, Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Dog Nation. He loves to spar with Paul Feinbaum. I heard a guy in the bookstore in Auburn one time.
Go, I know.
I look at that old Paul Feinbaum on the TV at night, and I'm like, Feinbaum? He's from Memphis, man. He went to my high school. And anyway, we're going to have that tomorrow with Frank Duffy and Doug Dean. And we've been talking with, I got to look. We're going to talk about Missouri and Kansas, the border war. That is a great rivalry.
That is going to be a good game.
Look, I love college football. I love the SEC, but I love it all over the country. And to have a guy like, Buddy Martin mentor you to teach you how to write better, to have Max Howell watching every show every day, critiquing me. And that guy is amazing. the stories and the recall. But I think, Loren, you just hit it. Celebrate college football. Quit looking to week 10 or week 12. God, let's focus on week 2. I was down in Atlanta from Thursday. We left Tuesday for my daughter that graduated from Alabama. She was distraught that Florida State game. And I'm with Loren. They could have played that place. They could have played that game in the Bryant Museum, and Alabama would have been defenseless. And I'll tell you what else, that there were some canaries in the coal mine. Jaden Roberts, starting right guard for Alabama, had been on concussion protocol for several weeks. He didn't have the practice reps. He wasn't game ready. They couldn't move the ball. And I think there were 21 lack of effort plays cited on the tape review or more. Loren, you know, as a coach, you know this, Joe, that they're not going to take your scholarship, but you're going to be punished. You know what? Even if you're on the other side of the field, they can see on the full 22 the lack of effort. You run into the ball, you better be doing it. There were guys that just flat out didn't look like it mattered to them. And I'm with Kirby Smart. I want guys that love football. And when we talked to the general manager, I told Joe this, Loren, we had Les Snead on our Die Hard podcast on SEC Sidelines channel yesterday. Each of you follow Alabama. He said, you know, it's just nothing like college. It's a living, breathing organism, a college campus. And celebrating it on this show with y'all is more fun than rolling downhill in a barrel full of drunk monkeys. I love this stuff. I love college football. And
I did too.
And Loren's love of the game and history and knowledge, and you, Joe, that's what this is all about, man. People.
That's it. Yep.
Gandhi was right. I don't let other people walk through my mind with their dirty feet. I love the game. I celebrate the game, and not even the adults can screw it up. I don't think.
There you go.
No
there
doubt.
you go. There
I'm
you
excited.
Go. Lauren, before we talk about your show real quick, big news came out this week. Scott Strickland got a new contract extension. What's the feeling around Gainesville about that? Are they happy? I mean, you know,
it kind of flew under the radar, but I think, you know, whereas a year ago it might have been mixed, this time I think most people are like, okay, I mean, they get it. You know, I mean, the guy had what, Final Four gymnastics team, basketball team won the national title. Billy Napier kind of came through with the Thunder. Really every sports team is doing well. The football stadium is getting ready to go through a major renovation. They're taking bids for that. And I think Scott publicly, and when you see him out, has done a great job of kissing babies and hugging folks and doing the things that he needs to do. So, and when it comes to in the know, the people that really give the money, I think he's in pretty good standing with them. So those that understand that the athletic director doesn't call plays, doesn't dribble, doesn't shoot, I think they understand that this is arguably the best athletic program in the country. And it's probably had the best 8 months of any program out there. So, I mean, well served in my opinion.
And look, I mean, this thing of kissing babies, shaking hands, that's not just something that he has to do. He enjoys that. Yeah. I mean, he enjoys shaking hands, meeting people. So he's very outgoing with that. Yeah. Are we, as we get ready for this game this weekend, give us, you two guys, give me your predictions real quick.
Closer than people think. 17.5. I'm going to go 15. I'm going to go Florida. Let's see. I got to make it 15. So let me see how I can get to 50. 28-13. Florida. Ooh, close, kind of back at it, but
wrong.
28-13.
I mean, he's giving South Florida a little bit of respect here. What's your thoughts on that?
38-24 Florida.
Yeah, I think that's more like it because I think DJ's ready to just sling it and just throw it big time. So I know you guys got to get ready. I guess you guys are going to be going on with Buddy in just a few minutes, so you need a little break from that. I understand that. Rob, I want to thank you so much for joining me. You have been fantastic. Lauren, you too. If you guys can join me next week, it would be great as we preview the big one, LSU. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but I found out that there's an Iowa Florida Gator Facebook page. I found that out. Yes, I found that out, and we're trying to do a watch party for the Florida game, and hopefully we got some people in Iowa watching as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. And anytime, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later on. Thank you, Ron.
Got it.
Bye bye. All right. Bye bye. Ron Browne, Loren Meadows of the Lowdown and Sideline Sports, respectively. Now, let's get into talking about the Bucks real quick. They take on Atlanta Sunday afternoon, I believe in Atlanta. It's the first game of the year. Their injury report came out today. Chris Godwin is not playing yet. They probably won't be back till Game 7. Vita Vea does not look like he's going to play in the game. Tristan Wirth has that knee injury. But the good news is that he's starting to walk around without a cane. So I think maybe by week 2, week 3, I think we'll start seeing Tristan come into the lineup. So we're looking forward to that. Benjamin Morris, doubtful with a quad injury. Kadon has a groin injury, but he practiced today. Josh Hayes with an ankle injury. Sean Tucker with a hand injury. Both went full practice. Mike Evans, they've been resting him, so we don't know how he's going to play. For Atlanta, Darnell Mooney was limited in practice. Clark Phillips has a rib injury. DeMarco Helms did not practice. A.J. Terrell and Ray McLeod, they're not playing at this time, so don't expect them to see them play this week. And again, it'll be the Atlanta Falcons at Atlanta, 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Central Time. Check out all the action on Fox TV. I don't know who is calling the game yet, but you might want to check that out. Real quick, let's get into the scores of or the games that we're going to be watching this week. Let's start off with the NFL. Of course, it's gotten underway tonight, 14-7. Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles was already ejected 5 seconds into the game. I've seen a couple of major fights break out during this game, so it's getting very physical. Again, 14-7. They just started the second quarter. Tomorrow night, Kansas City will be at the Raiders. The Raiders. Sunday, some games, Cincinnati, Cleveland. The Raiders will be at New England. The Pittsburgh Steelers and Aaron Rodgers will be at the New York Jets. Oh, that's kind of a rematch. Aaron Rodgers, he used to play for the Jets. Didn't realize that. Giants will be at Washington for a 1 o'clock game. Carolina, Jacksonville. Other games, Detroit will be at Green Bay for a nationally televised game on CBS. Houston will be at the Rams Sunday night. Baltimore, Buffalo, Monday night closing it out. Minnesota versus the Bears. Check that game as Monday Night Football gets underway as far as college. And there's going to be some really good games starting on Friday. Northern Illinois, who's up and coming, they'll take on Maryland. Saturday, a full slate of games, including the big one, Iowa versus Iowa State. Go Cyclones. That game will be 11 o'clock. Anthony Beck, the quarterback for the Iowa State Cyclones. If the name sounds familiar, it should. He is the son of Anthony Beck, the former tight end of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's something keep your eye on. Other games on the day. Pittsburgh will be at Central Michigan will be at Pittsburgh. Georgia will play against Austin Peay. Ole Miss versus at Kentucky. That's a 3:30 game on ESPN. East Tennessee State at Tennessee. Kansas, as Ron Brown talked about a moment ago, will be at Missouri. That will be on ESPN2. Other games to watch out for: Middle Tennessee against Wisconsin. Northern Iowa against Wyoming. South Florida, of course, will take on the Gators, 4:15 Eastern Time in the Swamp. You want to check out the pregame radio show at 2 p.m. in WRUF, the home of the Gators. Army at Kansas State. Other games, Arizona State will be at Mississippi State. Michigan will be at Oklahoma for a 6:30 game on ABC. Ball State, as Ron mentioned, will be at Auburn. Let's see, Boston College will be against Michigan State at Michigan State. That game will be on NBC. UNL Monroe will take on at Alabama. And Stanford will be at BYU. And those are kind of like the headline games to watch out for. Again, week 1 of the National Football League is underway. Eagles against the Cowboys. Right now, Eagles have the ball. And should be an interesting game. I want to thank you, everybody, for joining me here tonight. Hope you had a great time. We're going to be back next week at the same time. Hopefully, Browne and Loren Meadows will join me as well, and we'll talk about all things college football. Thanks very much for joining me. You guys make it a great day. And as I always said, if you're not a Gator, you're primed to be Gatorbait. Good night, everybody, and God bless.
Thanks for joining Joe Fulford on Half Full and a Cup of Joe. Don't forget to tune in next time for more football talk, analysis, and fun. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on all things Half Full and a Cup of Joe. And remember, always keep your cup half full and your team spirit full. See you next time.